How's it going, lazy bruises? I'm Bobby Sixkilla. Welcome back to the letter. We are still Zach, and we have just pissed Ash off by telling him what we've seen, and he was a big fucking bitch about it. But he gave us the card for Professor Andrew Clark, the one that Isabel met earlier. But now we're at the library, it seems. Of all the places, it never crossed my mind I'd end up wandering into the public library today, considering I rarely ever visited. I assume we're missing Professor Clark here. Somehow there has always been this kind of disconnect between me and books in general. Sure, some of them held my attention in my youth, during the brief times of the day I was left with on my own with nothing to do. I went through the whole of Grant's collection, as a matter of fact. Read all of them twice or thrice even. But they never did hold it for long. Most of them never even sticked. Especially after I learned it's simply easier to do things myself when I want to learn stuff. It's like the plan in the first place. But after that argument, I don't really have any other choice. Nothing but quiet greets me inside, though. Not the typical mum one would associate with a library, but one akin to a hush prior to impending trouble. That doesn't sound good. Or perhaps I'm just overthinking again. I really like to think I'm just thinking too much about this. That this is just the lack of sleep talking. Regardless, apart from a group of students murmuring in a corner somewhere, this place is free of its usual visitors. All the while, my footsteps echo in a manner unsettling enough to raise the hairs at the back of my neck. Much to my relief, it does not take me long to find him, being the only occupant in this side of the room. Professor Andrew Clark. I've never personally met the man, but Ash has spoken highly of him several times. In fact, he is Ash's go-to guy when something's troubling him with the case. My steps are unsure as I approach. At any rate, he greets me with a warm smile like a grandson he hasn't seen in a long time.
Ashton's friend, I take it. Zachary. You'll have to forgive this old man if I don't get your name right.
Oh no, you got it. It's Zach. Zachary Steele, Professor Clark.
He gestures at the empty seat across the table while he returns to his books. The next couple of minutes pass in relative silence as he continues to read and take notes from the pile he's accumulated on the table. Maybe I should have taken a book first before heading in here. But before I can even get far into that idea, the professor clicks the book shut and sets it atop the stack next to him.
Ashton told me you were hoping to get answers from me.
At my confused look, he lets out a small chuckle.
He sent a message ahead. A friend needs to have some sense knocked into him. In verbatim.
Yeah, it sounds like Ash.
That boy never changes.
I wasn't really expecting he'd do that.
Although I'm not quite sure what I could share, I'll do my best to help.
Of course, there are a lot of things that I want to ask. How do we get out of this mess in the first among tens, hundreds of concerns in my head? But in the presence of someone I barely know, the thoughts won't easily form. He's nothing but patient, however, and with enough time to mull over, a question finally forms.
Do you believe in the paranormal, Professor?
It's supernatural, actually. Don't worry. It's a common mistake to make. But they really are two different things. The other one deals with what we can't explain at the moment, while the other are things we may not have an explanation to. Here.
He places a couple of papers in front of me. The very same ones he was writing on earlier. A study of Luxborn's supernatural culture in a nutshell.
A friend of mine wrote that a few years ago. He took interest in the city after reading about the stories. I have to agree with him here. Even stories dealing with things you don't see with the naked eye can be rife with culture. And this city thrives on it. Just ask the locals.
Like ghosts, for example.
Among other things. The interpretation has changed over the years, though. Various religions, for example, have their own version. It might not always be a spirit now. It could be a memory, or an imprint, an echo, so to speak. Some are born from curses, even. Out of great anger, hatred, or pain. There was this one story. Ah, here it is.
He's much easier to talk to about it than Ash. But it would have been worse to talk to Hannah, I still think. But I guess when we go through to complete everybody's story, we'll see what happens there too. Another book is pulled out from the stack and placed open atop the papers, while he speaks with such passion that it makes me wonder if some part of him believes these to be true. It is interesting though, even if I'm personally not a fan of such stories. And soon hours pass by without my notice.
In the end, it asks for something to be sacrificed in order to destroy whatever anchors the wraith. A sad tale, that one. But the simplest grudge can bring the ugliest, even in the kindest person, with some people none the wiser. Oh, I'm sorry. I just went on.
Nah, it's good. Are you familiar with The Ermengarde mansion, though?
Of course. That goes without saying. Who hasn't heard of the local legend? In fact, you aren't the first one to ask me about that recently. Although, word of the mouth is, someone has already bought it.
Ah, yeah. The right couple. It was a close friend who handled that sale.
So I heard. Well, don't think the house being bought by anyone would stop us from talking about it. What is it about the mansion, then?
I just want to ask what you think of it, sir.
We're going to need more than an afternoon for that, young man.
Okay, I'm all ears.
You see, it's the kind that has changed over the years, passed down from one person to the next. Sometimes, it's the Lord William who haunts the place. There are versions where it's the lady of the house.
Definitely a woman.
But my favorite, a personal favorite, would have to be the ones that followed after the disappearance of the kind daughter.
Is that the Charlotte one?
Well, what about these then?
There's a moment of hesitation on my part before I pull out Mrs. Wright's photos and lay them all in front of him. Unlike Ash, though, the professor inspects each print with great interest. It gives me some hope, at least.
When were these taken?
Just the other day. Do you think those are the same?
Perhaps. Perhaps not. There were certainly instances when the film would pick up what the human eyes weren't able to see. But then, it could also have been human error.
I didn't edit it in any way. You have my word on that, Professor. They all just came out like that.
Then, if it is what you're thinking, I'd strongly advise against doing something reckless and further tangling with them. Accounts about them may be riveting to you, but most of it often ends in an unpleasant manner.
What about those people in the house? If there is something in there, shouldn't they know? I'm sure they're already familiar with the legends, but...
Some people might deserve it, however.
Deserve what,
Whoa,
sir?
whoa, what the fuck? All of a sudden, the tenderness in the professor's eyes disappeared, his face becoming unreadable. And so, catching himself, he hastily clears his throat, gathers his books, and rises from his seat. What the fuck just happened there?
Professor?
The professor's a nutjob? I didn't know that.
I'm sorry. I just remembered something I neglected to do. You'll have to excuse me, Zachary.
I'm late for my 6 o'clock murder.
All right. Do you need any help with that?
Don't let my looks fool you, son. I can still carry a few hundreds. I've been doing this for years. I'll see you some other time if you have any other questions.
Of course. It was nice knowing you, Professor.
Whoa, that was a weird thing to say too. He doesn't hear it, however. In a few short strides, he's out of the library, leaving me in every piece of his whole mess amidst the oppressive stillness. Despite the answers gleaned, more questions surfaced. If there is even a single way out of this, I hope we find it soon. The moon is well into the night sky by the time I make it back home. My head shreds, and the sound of traffic outside echoing in my ears, filling the empty room with some semblance of life. Nana would scold me if she ever hears me walk like that, but after today, I can't give a damn about everything. The mattress creaks under my weight as I unceremoniously flop down on it, and I find myself looking up, looking at the paper under my grip. An invitation and a request to cover an event. The Wright's housewarming party, tomorrow evening. If only it were that easy, but it'll give me a chance to talk to her. About that thing in their house. With a sigh, I let my hands fall to the side of the bed along with the invitation. I'll think about it tomorrow, when my head ain't muddled with thoughts of a headless woman and the haunting smiles of a ghost. Belatedly, it occurs to me that the last meal I ate had been the one with Ashton. And an empty, gnawing ache makes itself known, but I can't bring myself to stand up. Today was a complete waste of time and, frankly, a disappointment. I don't like this. The lack of certainty, the disquiet, the lack of stable ground to stand on, the part where I didn't know what will come tomorrow. Ever since that damn letter, everything has been thrown out of the loop. I wish everything stayed the same. Routine would have been easier to make sense of than this. Closing my eyes, I let the noise from the streets below lull me to sleep. At the very least, that's the one thing that hasn't changed. The melody carries into the hall long before I cross the threshold. Solemn but gentle and soothing, a reminder of what home is. Pa's firm but meaningful gaze, Ma's wistful smiles, the warm rays filtering through the eaves at sunset, the distinct smell of wet earth and leaves after a long day's rain in our room. The room, Ma and Pa's pride and joy, a place We were once promised several springs ago. Yet it won't stop.
No, wait! Come back! I'll be good this time! Please don't leave! Please stay!
The floorboards are cold under my feet, more than they usually are. The walls are more forbidding than what I'm used to. This is the same as last time. Further and further the room goes. Ma's singing ceases and Pa... I can't hear Pa. Not above the raucous clanging and the deafening roar of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting soft melodies. There is only the blinding fear. But when the light breaks, her skin has already taken a sickly pale colour, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Bony hands grip Hannah's neck like a noose, straining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes. A scream ripples through the air. My whole body feels distant, every limb heavy with lead, all unable to move at will. Not even so I can wipe the beads of sweat forming at my temple. The rasping of my breath easily fills the room in the wee hours while I force it back into a steady rhythm. There is a tightness in my chest I can't shake off, my heart pounding against it as if it's about to burst out. Something cold has settled in my legs. Not the usual chill that comes and goes with the passing breeze from the window, but one strong enough to sting, shackle, and leave a frigid sensation creeping up my skin. With every struggle I make, the pressure winds firmly around my legs. Tighter, and tighter, and tighter, until it becomes too much. My heart stops. Another draft sweeps into the room and brings with it the iron tang of blood. Thick, suffocating, filling my nose with a foul, sickening smell as I shift my gaze downwards and it slowly comes into view. Mouth stretched in a hideous smile and eyes brimming with nothing but madness. The stench of gore taints the air around me and I can't look away. From it, her, from the terror and death that her uncanny, twisted features alone scream. I try to open my mouth, to shout, to ask for any help, but my voice has left my body altogether. All I have is the painful realization that no kind of plea will ever save me from her. Then suddenly the bed dips. The brutal plunge back into myself jerks me awake. There is no ear-splitting scream, no wild thrashing of limbs, just a painful, constricting awareness that something has wound itself tightly around my neck. I waste no second pulling it, a blanket, away, but allow myself a few minutes to steady my breathing before getting off the bed. Inhale, hold, exhale. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. But the dreams have gotten worse. Ever since 2 days ago, no longer are they the small cursory flashes that I'm used to, but vivid ones that linger. I can still feel the blood in my hands, the putrid smell of rotting flesh, the sickening crunch of bones breaking with every movement, and her cold, chilling eyes as they bore into me. I draw in one long, ragged breath, and before I know it, I'm walking out the door. Even in the waking world, it reeks. A bench on the park is far from the most private place for thoughts in Luxbourne, considering its location at the heart of the bustling city. But in the early hours of the morning it provides enough peace and quiet for any poor problematic soul who happens to wander here. The city is just waking up, a little later than usual. But knowing what day it is, one can't fault it for being a little tardy, just this once. Yet neither the pleasant morning chill nor the soft twittering of birds does anything to banish the images. Every single one has rotted itself into my head, its claws digging deep into what is no longer a safe place to hide in.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. Take a key and
No,
lock
stop.
him up. Lock him up.
This is
lock him
unnecessarily
up.
creepy.
Take a key and lock him up, my fair lady.
It used
London Bridge is
It used to be easy,
falling
finding
down,
some pretense of
falling
peace
down,
under the guise
falling
of sheer
down.
optimism,
London Bridge
following
is
regular
falling
routine.
down, my
Now?
fair lady.
Now I don't know what to make of it.
Take a key and
Sometimes
lock
it's
him
easy to
up,
run,
lock him
easier to
up,
hide when
lock
everything's
him up.
falling apart.
Take a key
That way you don't
and
have to
lock
be
him
the
up,
first to
my
witness it when it
fair
does.
lady.
It worked when things went bad, but the movie after all. It also worked with when Ma and Pa were taken from us. Maybe it really is better if I just...
Hey, mister.
Hey, creepy girl. The tiny voice gives me a pause. When I look up, a little girl, maybe about 6 or 7, is peering at me. two wide eyes overflowing with what can only be the natural curiosity one typically sees in children. I vaguely noted that the Saint Goretti uniform, Saint Goretti, she was wearing before returning a greeting.
Hey kid.
Kylie.
Kylie?
That's my name. Mama said it's rude not to call people by their names.
Then she flops down on the empty space beside me. Her little legs, still too short to touch the ground, swings in tune with a song she hums under her breath. I don't mind kids. Nana would often invite the ones in our old neighborhood to give them treats. Of course, by then Sis and I were both too old to play with them, but you get used to the commotion eventually. It's not completely as unpleasant as most people would imply. Kylie seems to be a well-behaved kid anyway.
Oh, sorry. Nice to meet you, Kylie. Is Mama here?
No, but my big brother's with me. He's taking pictures with his camera over there.
She points to the far end of the park, the one closest to the street where a kid is taking shots of something above him. It doesn't look to be birds because all there is on that side of the park are buildings.
I don't see what's so interesting with the tip of a building, though. I'd take pictures of dogs if I were him. They're cuter. Do you have a camera too, mister?
Yeah, I'm actually a photographer.
Mama said I'm too young to get a camera.
I'm sure your mama will eventually give you one. But won't you be late for school like this?
Big brother will get us there on time. Rowan promised Papa. We aren't going to be late. It's sports day. So it's not good if you keep looking like that today. If it ends up raining and we lose, it's your fault.
All right, I'll try not to upset the clouds today, kid.
Is it because you're sick, mister?
Before I know it, a smile is spread over my face. They say kids ask the toughest questions sometimes, and they sure do, with how sincere Kylie looks. Lying feels like doing her a huge disservice.
No, not sick. Just having a very, very bad day.
Why is that? Is that like when my big brother ate all of my pudding? He did that once and then cried. It wasn't very nice of him.
Yeah, I think so. You see, there's this mean girl. She's given my friends and I a lot of trouble. I even got in a fight with my best friend because of her. Hard to keep up when things are like that, you know? Especially when you can't do anything. It's kind of scary. Makes you wish things will just stay as peaceful as they used to be.
Maybe she just wants to be friends with you?
I highly doubt that. She already hurt one of my friends.
What if she's just sad? Or maybe she just wants help. That's what happened with Melody. I let her borrow my crayon when she left hers. Now we're playmates.
It's not really the same thing, Kylie. What she did, they're pretty bad things.
I still think there's another reason. Did you try talking to her? That's what Mama said I should do.
I don't think that'll work either.
Never know.
You haven't even tried yet. You sound like Rowan. You're just scared, mister.
That strikes a chord. Maybe it's the honesty in her tone or simply the truth in the words itself. I don't know why, but I can't help it. I laugh. Loud enough to disturb an elderly couple taking a leisurely walk nearby.
Why are you laughing?
That's nothing. You're a really smart kid, you know that?
That's what I've been doing, ain't it? Go full speed ahead and then backtrack when the going gets tough. Stay in my safe zone because that's what I know. Once Dr. Navarro said that I should be the first one willing to deal with my problems before anyone else. I didn't show up to our next appointment after that. But he's right. And though I hate to admit it, knowing what I've seen, but the kid makes a good point too. I've been so caught up thinking there might be a way out. Maybe there isn't, maybe there is, but that doesn't mean I should just leave it up to fate. Aren't spirits supposed to be humans before too? Had people they cared about lived a life of their own? Smiled and laughed like the rest of us do? Do they really lose it all after death?
You better get to school, though, or you'll miss sports day. You should have won yourself some awards, aight?
Alright. Can I show it to you when I do? That can cheer people up, right?
In the distance, her brother calls for her, and I took that as a sign to leave. Got things to do, to face. The first few steps, they say.
Nah, I'm good now, I think. Thanks to you. Besides, Mister needs to go, but you should show it to Mama and Papa. I'm sure they'll be proud of you, Kylie.
I will. Thanks, mister. Bye.
I give her a little pat on the head before heading my way. A small gesture of thanks from a stranger she didn't know she might have helped. She may not understand it now. Even though at such a young age she already has this understanding of things, but maybe when she's older. When the world no longer seems too big for her.
But aren't you going to help me, mister?
With what?
Confused, I glance back. Whatever cheer our little talk brought has vanished under the shadows suddenly dancing in my eyes. The frigid air is most definitely not how the morning chill should feel, like bitter, stinging, unwelcoming. And the kid.
What do you think, mister? Are you going to help me?
What do you want from us?
The response never comes, however, because when I blinked, gone.
Hello? Mister? Are you okay?
For several passing seconds, I let my stare linger on her face, waiting for any sign of another change. But all that remains in there is the carefree smile of a child. None of the spite, none of the cold, bloody smile.
Nothing, huh? I really need to go, Kylie. It was nice meeting you.
See you again, mister!
I break into a run. I don't look back, not even as I bump into a couple of passers-by as soon as I'm out on the busy streets. Going insane. This is what it is. If we don't do something soon, we all will be. The tremors follow me even as I get home. I had hoped a little stroll around the block for a few hours would help. Instead, I'm assaulted with more images of her, her smile, the loathing in her eyes, the stench of gore, the horrid crunch that comes with every movement she makes. Even old memories have been sullied by her, and Ma's song no longer sounds as sweet as it's meant to be. In the end, all I've got is this sinking feeling I'll never be rid of her image, and another ridiculous idea that may or may not even work. The sun is already hanging low on the horizon when I make it back. And for the first time, coming home feels more like a chore. Only I didn't arrive to an empty room, because as soon as I open the door, I'm greeted by none other than Ash.
Sup, Z-Man?
Of course.
I told you we should have called him before going here.
It's fine.
It's Ash and I see first, sitting comfortably on my couch, munching on a bag of chips, with both feet propped atop the coffee table. Whatever proverbial stone has made a home at the pit of my stomach automatically flies right out the window at the sight of him. But before any exasperation can set in, my attention is taken by the other occupant in the room. Isabella perches on the other chair in the room, attempting to make herself smaller, it seems, from how closely she's hugging her arms against her. Nevertheless, she gives a small smile when she notices my stare. Yet somehow, there ain't any warmth in it like it's supposed to have.
Hey, Zach. Sorry we just barged in here. Ash was...
Relax. Z-Man gave me a copy of the key himself.
Only after you broke the 13th one? I can't keep replacing them every time you think it'd be a good idea to break into my apartment. And stop calling me Z-Man!
I didn't break anything this time.
Ash, just because I gave you a key doesn't mean you can just stroll in here whenever you want to. And, hey, is that my...
Ash smirks at me because, of course, he's got the gall to smirk knowing what he did. He pops in what is very likely the last piece of chip into his mouth and folds the wrapper neatly on the table before throwing it in the nearby trash. From her chair, Isabella shoots me an apologetic smile as soon as the foil hits the waste bin with a dull thunk. Common sense dictates that I should be angry. But after everything, despite things we've yet to straighten out before it blows up in our faces, having something normal play out in front of me, no matter how childish their antics can get, I can't bring myself to muster even a tidbit of it. Behind me, the television starts blaring the music for the end credits of a movie. I've likely been waiting for a while if Ash has gotten impatient enough to rummage through my cupboards and watch something.
Of course he eats all of it. You know, I was saving that for the weekend. Did you at least share some with Bella?
Don't worry about it. I'm good, Zach.
Really? It's free food, you know? What was that you usually say? You don't say no to free food? What happened?
No, I'm just not hungry.
Ash only shrugs at the question in my eyes. I can't be the only one who finds this vibe she's giving off to be odd, and the guy has no doubt already caught wind of it.
Aye. But if you want something, just say so. I've got a fully restocked pantry right here at your disposal. Still not a 5-star level thing, but for an empty stomach, it'd do. Just say the word.
Thanks, Zach. Maybe next time. Food is not really what we came here for. Ash, he's the one who...
She casts a brief glance at Ash, and in an instant he sits up. Every trace of amusement is gone from his face as he clasps his hands in front of him and leans forward. A minuscule gesture meant to ease, yet the grim expression of him tells a different story altogether.
All right, you two, what's this about? I don't like those looks. If this has something to do with the other day, I really am sorry about that. It was rude, and I didn't mean for it to come out that way.
A short but tense pause follows. They're both stalling. Under normal circumstances I'd wait. With these two, the more you force it, the more they clamp down on it. But as a handful of seconds continue to slip by, the unsettling feeling in me also grows with it. Soon it turns into impatience. Before I can demand a response though, one of them finally speaks up. It is Ashton who first breaks it.
No, don't apologize. I should have listened.
How is everything with you lately, Zach?
Hold on, Ash. Both of you. Did I just hear you say that? Is this why Isabella's here? Has something happened?
Calm down, we're just here to check on things. So, did you meet Andrew about the photos?
What photographs?
Said photographs have been sitting untouched since the day I dumped them in my drawer. Isabella goes very still when I hand her the small stack. To her credit, she doesn't flinch like I'm expecting her to, and flips through each of it in silence. But while her eyes remain strangely calm, her hands have gone rigid and her mouth is set into a thin line. She, out of all people, understands what this means. In hindsight, she should have been the one I approached before Ash.
What did Andrew say about them?
It could be one, but there's no guarantee it's a supernatural thing. It doesn't always happen. So, that's a dead end right there. Now that I think about it, bothering that guy for this feels pretty silly now. But with the dreams lately...
That's all? Did he say anything about the damn letter at all? Did you ask him even?
I pause, glancing at him skeptically. I don't know where the sudden curiosity is coming from. But if Ashton, cool, calm, collected, always logical Ashton, takes interest in this, something or someone must have fucked shit up somewhere. Or the world is ending. Seconds pass. The apocalypse I'm expecting to go along with it doesn't arrive, however.
Yeah, that's really everything. The letter kind of slipped my mind. The photos were more important at that time. There was some stuff about the local horror stories, though. Talked about the curses, and he was really fascinated with the story about a wraith asking for a sacrifice to move on. Kinda nasty if you ask me. But it does make sense if you simply go along with it. I'm not sure how this will help in the grand scheme of things. Why are you asking about this anyway?
Rose's death isn't just a coincidence, Zach. It may have something to do with... I may have...
Wait, stop right there for a sec, Bella. I thought you ain't buying this stuff, Ash. Just the other day, you said the exact same thing.
I still don't, but even Rebecca, out of all people, claims there's something. Whatever this is, someone has got to look into it. Everything about this screams shady.
Are you sure you even have the time? Ain't you busy with your current case?
I got taken off that one.
Is this going to turn into a situation where this whole group of people is going to the house to do this ghost investigation type thing? Because I'm down for that.
You didn't say you were taken off your case.
I just got the news this morning. Apparently the higher-ups think I'm doing a horrendous job at it. It doesn't matter though. If these two cases are connected like I initially thought, then regardless, I'm on the right track.
Are you sure we should even be doing this?
Doing what exactly?
There's some place we'll visit after this.
Too vague for comfort, Ash. And please don't tell me you're bringing her with you.
His affirmation comes in the form of a stare, but that alone says all I need to know. What I pointed out gives him pause though, and his voice is thick with hesitation when he addresses Isabella.
You know what? Zach's right, Isabella. You don't have to come with me.
It's not myself I'm worried about. It's you. I'll just do this myself, if it'll get you into more trouble with your superiors. At least I can make up an excuse why I need to be there.
Don't be ridiculous. You're not walking in there without me. Besides, I think it's a little too late to back out now. Have you two seen the news this morning?
I haven't, actually.
What happened now?
Mama called, and I was busy.
The change in the air around her, while small, cannot have gone unnoticed, and it takes every willpower not to ask. Probably the only thing reigning in my curiosity is the fact that Ash himself hasn't brought it up either.
No problem. It should be in the afternoon news as well.
He grabs the remote and cycles through numerous channels until he gets to a news report about another guy who has been found dead in the early hours of the morning today. Great, it's got the help me thing on it as well. Who the hell is this guy though? Burned alive this time. Oddly, no fire has spread and whatever damage has been contained within the place the body was found. The room itself, however, has been completely vandalized. Help me. Help me. Help me. Another murder, the authorities claimed. Isabella and I knew better. None of us shifts even after the report ends, but the room has suddenly felt stifling. Surely, even if an apparition kills you, it's still a murder, right? Right? Ashton's eyes have gone hooded with what appears to be restrained anger, and the remote in his hand creaks mildly under his grip. The stone is back of my stomach. A tiny little thing gripping at my insides, growing with every passing second as the dread sinks in. In the thick of it, Isabella's voice is the one that breaks the hush. A small, weak thing, on its own, that wavers unevenly between words, but every syllable heavy with meaning.
This is because of that thing, isn't it? I did this somehow.
When it fades, all that's left in the air is doubt and fear, while all we can do is to cope. Is there something I can say to her to make her feel better? I think we should wrap this one up. We're out of time for today, so we'll talk to her about it next time. I think we'll go with, we can still fix this. I mean, staying silent ain't helping, is it? I don't know. We'll see. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.